What happens to your dinner table when industrial monocultures and global supply chains finally collapse? Potatoes and wheat are vulnerable, but these 10 forgotten calorie-dense root crops are virtually indestructible. Stop relying on fragile annuals and start growing a permanent, starch-heavy landscape that thrives without tilling, milling, or constant labor. Camassia, or camas, shaped indigenous food security for generations, thriving in spring meadows with almost no care. Its bulbs store safely underground for years, untouched by rodents or rot, and survive harsh winters down to USDA Zone 3. But safe harvest is critical, because mistaking camas for deadly death camas can be fatal, a risk woven into tribal oral tradition. Traditional pit roasting, lasting 12 to 24 hours, converts inulin into sweet, digestible energy. Yields reach 3 to 5 tons per hectare, about 350 calories per square meter, bridging the early season gap before higher calorie roots mature. Number 9. Arrowroot stands as a lifeline for those forced to confront the limits of industrial food. Where potatoes wither in drought or rot in flooded fields, arrowroot flourishes at the swampy margins, soaking up runoff, thriving in partial shade, and demanding little more than a patch of moist earth. Harvest comes after 10 to 12 months, with each square meter yielding up to 800 calories, enough to keep a family fed when supply chains snap. Processing is brutally simple. Grate the rhizomes, wash, and let the starch settle. No mill, no fuel, just a cloth sack and sun-dried patience. Once dried, arrowroot flour keeps for 18 months or more, immune to rodents and rot. Its climate range is narrow, zones 9 to 11, but in the tropics, it transforms forgotten corners into a reliable, gluten-free calorie reserve. For preppers in humid zones, arrowroot isn't just a backup. It's a quiet rebellion against fragile, labor-hungry monocultures. 8th place, skirret carves out a cold climate stronghold where potatoes falter and tropical roots freeze out. This perennial, sweet peppery root forms dense crowns that push upward through heavy loam, thriving in United States Department of Agriculture zones 3 to 8 and demanding little more than moist, fertile soil. Plant root cuttings 5 centimeters deep in early spring, spacing them to allow the clump to expand. By the second year, a single patch yields up to 9 tons per hectare, about 750 calories per square meter, delivering a steady, harvest-as-you-go supply, with roots that overwinter safely underground. No annual tilling, no desperate rush to dig before the frost. Just reach down, break off a root, and let the crown regenerate. Every 4 years, divide the clump to keep it vigorous. Skirret's flavor, somewhere between carrot, parsnip, and a hint of white pepper, recalls its medieval fame when it filled winter larders across northern Europe. Unlike fragile potatoes, skirret shrugs off cold, resists most pests, and builds permanent soil structure with its deep taproots. Only waterlogging threatens it. Well-drained beds keep rot at bay. For northern growers seeking a low-input, high-reward starch, skirret stands ready to reclaim its place as a backbone of self-reliant food security. Number 7. Apios, the American groundnut, rewrites the rules for survival calories in a collapsing system. Where potatoes demand endless fertilizer and wheat depletes the soil, Apios climbs skyward as a nitrogen-fixing vine, feeding both the land and those who tend it. Each meter of trellised vine can pull nearly 45 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare from thin air every year, slashing dependence on synthetic inputs and breaking the chemical leash of industrial farming. Below ground, starchy tubers accumulate steadily, 4 to 6 tons per hectare, delivering around 500 calories per square meter. But Apios is more than a root. Its pods yield protein-rich seeds, offering a rare dual harvest. The plant thrives in partial shade and moist edges, such as orchard margins, riparian buffers, and forgotten fence lines, where most annuals would fail. By the second or third year, a patch becomes a living pantry, storing calories in the soil until needed. Labor is minimal. Plant once, trellis the vines, and let the system regenerate. In a world of fertilizer shortages and brittle monocultures, Apios offers not just food, but a foundation for permanent resilience. Number 6. Chinese yam transforms the vertical dimension of food security, staking its claim where shallow-rooted staples run out of room. This perennial vine sends shoots climbing 4 meters up any trellis, while its real power lies hidden. Dense, mucilaginous tubers plunging half a meter deep into the earth. In a crisis, every square meter becomes a calorie reservoir, yielding up to 1,200 kilocalories per square meter and 12 to 15 tons per hectare, even in cold climates, down to USDA Zone 4 when mulched. Unlike potatoes, which demand relentless tilling and expose you to every blight and beetle, Chinese yam lets you stack calories both above and below ground. It is an insurance policy that keeps growing as long as you support its skyward reach. But there is a catch. Harvesting means digging deep, often with a specialized root spade, and the tubers can snap if you rush. That labor spike is the price for security that lasts through drought, supply chain collapse, or seed shortages. Invasiveness is real. Plant only where you can control its spread. Yet for those willing to dig deep, Chinese yam offers a perennial starch bank that shrugs off pests, survives neglect, and turns neglected corners into a vertical fortress of resilience. Oca thrives where potatoes falter, pushing up bright stems in cold, acidic soils from zone 5 to 9. It asks little. Plant tubers 8 centimeters deep and 25 centimeters apart, then let the foliage fill in. The real transformation happens after harvest. Fresh oca tastes sharp from oxalates, but 10 days of sun curing on dry ground changes everything. Sunlight breaks down the oxalates, raising sugars and turning the tubers sweet, with hints of lemon and squash. This simple cure unlocks yields of 10 to 15 tons per hectare, delivering about 1,200 kilocalories per square meter. Oca's first year is modest, but yields climb in the second season as the patch matures. Once cured, tubers store for 2 to 6 months in a cool pantry or overwinter in the soil, offering a reliable, low-labor staple for marginal ground. Number 4. Mashua turns pest control on its head. No sprays, no midnight beetle patrols, just a riot of tubers thriving where other crops give up. This Andean survivor pushes vines 2 meters high, roots deep into poor soils, and shrugs off drought in zones 6 through 9. The secret weapon, isothiocyanates, the same pungent compounds that make mustard fierce, saturate mashua's flesh and foliage. Bugs hate it. Plant mashua near your beans or brassicas, and the whole patch gets a chemical shield. Yields reach 8 to 12 tons per hectare, close to 1,000 kilocalories per square meter, enough to keep a family fed when supply chains fail. But raw, mashua bites back with a sharp, peppery burn. Boiling or roasting for 25 minutes tames the chemistry, turning it mild and nutty. Here, resilience comes not just from calories, but from freedom. Freedom from chemical inputs, labor, and the endless grind of fighting nature. Mashua's low maintenance, pest-repelling power makes it a cornerstone for anyone building a permanent, self-renewing food reserve. Coming to the top 3, Jerusalem artichoke stands as a cold, hardy, calorie-packed bulwark against the failures of annual monocultures. Where potatoes buckle under blight and wheat fields are burned for fuel and seed, this North American native delivers a relentless yield, 15 to 20 tons per hectare, translating to over 1,300 kilocalories per square meter. That's a true survivalist's reserve, stashed beneath the soil from USDA Zone 3 to 9, immune to frost and drought, and ready for harvest whenever hunger strikes. Tubers overwinter in place, untouched by rodents or rot, so you harvest only what you need, leaving the rest as a living larder. But there is a catch. Jerusalem artichoke is rich in inulin, a starch that can trigger ferocious gas and discomfort if eaten raw or undercooked. The fix is simple. Boil, roast, or ferment the tubers to break down inulin, or slow cook them with a splash of vinegar to ease digestion. For those who want to bank calories without the backbreaking labor of annual digging and replanting, Jerusalem artichoke is nearly unstoppable, sometimes too much so. Its aggressive spread can overwhelm a garden bed, so plant it where you can mow or dig a perimeter. As a bonus, towering stems double as windbreaks, protecting more fragile crops from the elements. In the age of fragile supply chains and empty flour sacks, Jerusalem artichoke offers a permanent, high-yield calorie anchor. One that stores itself in the soil, shrugs off neglect, and turns every patch of ground into an insurance policy against hunger. Taro transforms wet ground into a calorie powerhouse, thriving where most crops fail. Its corms swell in waterlogged swales and paddies, yielding up to 2,000 kilocalories per square meter, one of the highest returns of any staple. This crop demands steady moisture, flourishing in zones 8 through 11, and it grows through an 8 to 12-month cycle. The secret to safe eating lies in processing. Raw taro contains oxalate crystals that can irritate the throat and kidneys, but a simple parboil for 10 to 15 minutes, followed by drying or smoking, cuts oxalate levels by more than half and keeps the corm shelf stable for up to a year. With no need for tilling or cold storage, taro turns runoff and rain into a lasting food reserve, making it the go-to for maximizing calories on wet land. And finally, in first place, achira, or Canna edulis, stands as the perennial root crop that can break the grip of fragile monocultures and deliver true food security. Achira's thick, starchy rhizomes yield over 20 tons per hectare, translating to roughly 1,500 kilocalories per square meter, outpacing most potatoes and dwarfing the output of wheat. It thrives from zone 7 and up, and with a heavy mulch, even colder climates can keep it alive through winter. Plant bare root sections 8 centimeters deep, 30 centimeters apart, and let the dense foliage shade out weeds while feeding livestock or building soil as a chop-and-drop mulch. No more annual tilling, no more desperate rush to harvest before blight or frost. The rhizomes store for 6 months buried under dry leaves, waiting underground until hunger calls. When it is time to eat, the process is simple. Grate the rhizomes, press the pulp, and dry the starch into a flour that needs no mill, no fossil fuel, and no supply chain. This flour is pure, sweet, and gluten-free, ready for flatbreads, thickening stews, or stretching scarce wheat reserves. Achira's massive leaves feed goats and chickens, while its roots anchor the soil, building fungal networks that sustain the entire garden. This is the all-around resilience champion, with high yield, broad climate range, and a labor-saving system that stores calories in the ground until you need them. For anyone serious about breaking free from brittle, fuel-hungry staples, the call is clear. Plant a 10 square meter test bed this season and reclaim your own permanent, living starch reserve. Achira is not just a forgotten root. It is the foundation for a new era of self-reliant food security. Across all 10 crops, one truth stands out: resilience is underground. While annual grains demand endless toil and fragile systems, these forgotten roots quietly build calories, soil, and sovereignty. The future of food security is not in the field. It is in the perennial, nutrient-rich roots we reclaim and defend.